The latest capitalist news is Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary is investing in psychedelic drugs. He is getting in on the ground floor. The ground floor sounds Chinese. Who is involved? Are the Chinese involved? Apparently, the Chinese are very heavily involved in the drug trade. The drugs that are causing overdoses all over the place are caused by Chinese chemists. Well, everyone knows the Chinese are smart and they do things cheaply, so I guess that's why these drugs are being made in China and smuggled here. Why do I blame the Chinese? I don't know. It was just a slip of the tongue. I said something with the Chinese English. What else is going on? Why is Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank investing in psychedelic medicines? Well, he wants to make lots of money. That's what he's all about. But, you know, Kevin O'Leary has a cousin named, what the hell's his name? Timothy Leary. Kevin O'Leary, meet your cousin, Timothy Leary. Why? Well, Timothy Leary, way back in the 1960s, was involved with psychedelic medicines. And he and his partners were looking into all kinds of mysticism, like Eastern mysticism from places like China and Tibet. And in Tibet, they had what was known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Timothy Leary and friends took the Tibetan Book of the Dead and they translated it into English, and they started using it with psychedelics to help people. So what does it say in the psychedelic Tibetan Book of the Dead? Well, primarily what happens when people take psychedelics is they lose their sense of ego. What does that mean? It resets you. It resets you, and when you have opportunities to wake up and come back to, ground zero where the rest of us are, you have several opportunities to drop your ego permanently. And, well, if we're talking about Kevin O'Leary, what is his ego all about? He plays a game, and egos always play games. Just so you know, you always get involved with games if you're an ego. And Kevin O'Leary's game is me, champagne, and everyone calling me Mr. Wonderful. Kevin O'Leary's ego game is all about him being the shark in the tank or the dragon in the den. If Kevin O'Leary took these psychedelic drugs, would he lose his ego? Would he stop being a shark or a dragon? It's not necessarily so that he would. Why? Because people who are very heavily invested in their ego game, Kevin O'Leary is getting as much for me as I possibly can. The game he plays is called Pig in a Trough. All of these ego games have got names. And pig in a trough, well, what's a pig in a trough? Well, if you put 10 pigs in a room and there's a trough full of cornmeal, what do the pigs do? Well, they get their noses in there and they use their big fat bodies to push the other pigs out of the way so they can get more of the limited supply of cornmeal. Kevin O'Leary, being a capitalist pig, does the same thing. He gets his nose in as a shark or a dragon to new opportunities for him to get more, uh, money, businesses, and contacts so that he can grow richer and more slimy as time goes on. Why would a capitalist pig want to get slimy? They don't. They like to wear slimy, expensive suits from Brooks Brothers in Hollywood or Beverly Hills. And, the thing is that if you're really heavily invested in your ego game, Kevin O'Leary, you take your psychedelics and you might have a time when you're disassociated from your very strong capitalist pig ego. But when you come back and you might not wake up from what is Kevin O'Leary really doing? Well, it's a human being playing a character called Kevin O'Leary. In other words, you've got a blank slate and there's a character who everyone knows from television. And this one is very good at playing this character and this character alone. So by taking psychedelics, you're supposed to see perhaps that you are not your ego. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. Why? Because it's too easy when you come back from your psychedelic trip to renew your vows to be playing the character that you worked very hard at playing for many, many years. So, do psychedelic therapies work? Well, Timothy Leary felt it was useful, and he's Kevin O'Leary's cousin. Then there's Dennis Leary, another Leary, who is the comic. And what would he say about Timothy Leary and Kevin O'Leary, his cousins? I think he would say, generally speaking, both of these ones are extremes. So Learys are known as people who take things to extremes. For more information on the games people play, you'll need to see the book Games People Play Beyond the Drug Experience, is the subtitle of the book, by Robert DeRopp. And that's where you will learn about the games that egos play, like pigs in a trough. What's the whole point of this? Why is Kevin O'Leary getting involved with psychedelic drugs? It's not for him to lose his ego, and he doesn't care if you lose your ego or not. He only wants money. He only wants in on the ground floor this ground-breaking business opportunity. All the same, I think it's worth it for Kevin O'Leary to take LSD, and because I'm sick of Kevin O'Leary. I was sick of him a long time ago. I'm sick of his ego game, and well, give it a 10% chance that it's going to change his personality for the better. 10% is worthwhile. So, Kevin, if you're out there watching, and I know you're not, I do recommend that you go for a bath in bath salts in Miami, Florida. Turn into a zombie, and maybe they'll. Well, that's what they say the bath salts do, and they're pretty much legal. If you go into any dollar store, you can go into the soap area and find bath salts. Yesterday, I went to the dollar store and I saw Himalayan bath salts. And I looked at them and I said, that just looks like Himalayan rock salt. So if Himalayan rock salt and water is going to turn you into a zombie, I mean, that's what they say in Miami. People take these bath salts and it's the strongest drug on the market. So maybe, I don't know, Kevin, if you like to drink some salted water and gargle, maybe your breath will be fresher next time you're on television.